Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, July 24th, 2019. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Zach, and on the panel this week, a legend in Franklin County journalism.
In his own mind, anyway.
45 years of doing the wordsmith stuff. An icon, I would consider, in journalism in Franklin County. My good pal, Duke Forrest.
Thanks, Hockey. More than kind. Speaking of, it makes me think of something, though. Did you catch the latest news with the messenger? This is the news my tennis guys are all over this. Monday night, Nick Haddon and Mike Bluen, no more home delivery.
Right, they started well, I'm down on the messenger for a number of reasons. Yeah. So, in fact, I have it in my notes, so I might as well get rid of it. They started home delivery last Wednesday or Thursday, or postal delivery. United States Postal Service delivers it now. Do you know how much notice they gave the carriers?
I was here, I guess, just from my tennis buddies. They said like one day.
My oldest brother has two of his grandsons.
Oh, is that right?
Deliver.
Oh, wow.
I heard they were told today's your last day of delivering.
Right? Yeah, I heard
papers.
1 day, so about the same.
And living in St. Albans town, I have a rural carrier.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure these people, it's a part-time gig,
and
but
I've got a carrier too.
Yeah, I'm sure
Good
they're
guy.
dependent on this income.
Yeah.
And I asked my wife, I said, what the heck is this sticker on? I could not put two and two together.
Yeah.
And she read it, and there was a little gold box on the upper right-hand corner stating there will be no longer a mail.
I'm sorry, where'd you see that?
Upper right-hand corner.
In the paper?
In the messenger.
Oh, I didn't
it was
even
in
notice
gold.
that.
I didn't notice it either.
Okay.
My wife said, and it indicated that from this point on, the United States Postal Service will be delivering the newspaper. So, I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm hoping any business should be in it for a profit. Now, of course, I rant on the Postal Service every year that they're $5 billion in the red every year. Now,
and of course, I cut them some slack. I mean, I love getting home delivered mail and
But my
all the money
problem
spent.
is,
But I understand.
Dude, I will say, without having any knowledge, just hopefully an educated guess, that mail service today versus 20 years ago might be a third of what it used to be. People don't write.
I'm sorry, in terms of the volume of mail?
Yes, sir. Because
the
I
internet,
remember I said a couple years, and you know me, I don't have a tweet machine, don't have a phone, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I remember I said to someone a couple years ago, I said, I'll email you. And I remember that person saying to me, who emails anymore?
Yeah.
Because it's all that quick tweet and stuff.
I do.
So, but I've always been an advocate of not just dropping Saturday's delivery.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate of dropping Wednesday and Saturday.
Wow.
Put the postal carriers on a 4-day, 10-hour work shift.
Delivering mail. Sans benefits, take benefits away.
No benefits. They'll still put their 40 in, but just work 8 to 6.
I gotcha.
And not be out there on a. It's not necessary. There
was about 5, maybe even 5 to 10 years ago, there seemed to be a big move to close some of the smaller post offices, and I guess some were, and of course, obviously, anybody's going to complain if you're affected. But I guess they closed some, but we still have. Just look at Franklin County. We still have plenty of small post offices.
Do they not close the Bay Post Office?
No, I use the Bay. Oh, sure, I use the Bay all the time.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely, still with us.
I can tell you. I don't know if you wanted me to say so, but I was mowing my parents' lawn a couple days ago, and my father lives where they have a zillion mailboxes so he has to drive to get his mail. He's like 85 years old.
He's got to drive to get it?
Yeah, so he doesn't get his mail every day. He called the messenger and said, that's the final straw. I mean, he was upset like me that when the new owner, Jim O'Rourke, took over, one of his first duties he took upon himself was to cut Richard Carperthwaite's
I'm not sure that
article.
Was maybe it was one of the last.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I know the guy personally, and I've he's written in Franklin County for 45 years.
Yeah.
And my father described that Wednesday or Thursday article folksy. And I said, you know what, Dad? I said, very aptly put. It was a small town. I enjoyed that, along with a lot of people like Richard Carpenter. Well, bang, that was gone. Then they turned it into, I like the old-fashioned big newspaper. They turned it into the tabloid-looking
Which is kind of a typical way to go.
Do you notice
these days.
Josh Kaufman, the very fine sports editor.
Sports has gone, volume has gone way
Granted,
down.
there's no high school sports going on right now, but today, back page, it was an article about the
women's
WNBA.
basketball.
That was it.
I did note that.
Because
that was
when Josh was on
strange.
here, he was on the, boy, you got me wound up. He was on the show a few years ago, and he said Emerson Lynn told him, Josh, take as many pages as you can go. If you've got real sports news, put it in. We've got the advertising.
We talked about that with Leonard, how going back a while.
Leonard was given
poor Leonard, looking at going back in recent years, how much sports
when
the Messenger
Leonard
was
Parent
doing.
was sports,
Lucky to get half a page,
right?
maybe?
Half page, 3/4 of a page. And Josh Kaufman does a great job. Well, now there's nothing.
I just read the Messenger, which I got in the mail, of course, before I came over here. And that did seem, no offense to the women's pro basketball league, but that did seem to be an odd one. That was it. Back
page. Just So I will say the overall quality of the St. Albans Messenger is sinking. I don't like the format. I'm one of those old geezers that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I thought it was a fine newspaper when Emerson had it. And granted, this O'Rourke has the right to do anything he wants.
Emerson, for the record, is still punching at it.
Right.
It's just about, and there's so few people who do that.
Right.
It's unreal.
Yeah, and Emerson does a great job with his editorials, whether you agree with him or not. But not pleased with the direction this paper has gone in. Now, I go by what another one of my brothers says. Another thing too, O'Rourke did. He raised the store rate from $1 to $1.50.
$1.50.
Yeah, but my brother told me if I get one article, learn one thing per night from the St. Albans Messenger, then it's worth it to me, and I feel the same way.
What would you say? One of your brothers had a couple of grandkids?
Well, brother Bart. Two of his grandsons.
All right, two of Bart's grandsons.
Yeah.
And again, no notice.
That's it. This is your last day delivering. And
that's tough. I feel, and my guy, all I know, my carrier Don, nice guy, but my guess is that was very bad news for him. This guy works hard. Sometimes if he knows I'm home, he'll ring my doorbell, just to hand me the paper. Great guy. I suspect that was very tough news for him.
And me, I'm on the side of the road where the box is, and I know a lot of folks are probably mothers. The kids are in school where this works out good for them. So, and granted, I don't have the other side of the story, but
I mean, again? I wish I knew more about the background. Does this presumably save the Messenger? I mean, the Messenger's obviously paying these guys, so obviously it saves them. I give my guy a tip once in a while. Yeah. But obviously it's another cost-saving move, I guess.
Yes, their argument could be, do you know how difficult it is to find a kid that wants to deliver newspapers?
Could be.
Now, I may be somewhat prejudiced. I look back on my life. I started delivering.
You did that for years?
I started delivering the Burlington Free Press in the 6th grade.
Wow.
Okay? I did it until I was 16 years old, and when I turned 16, I went out and bought my own car, junior in high school, okay? There's not many kids, but
That's impressive.
I learned
from money you saved.
Oh, I saved. I just,
what were your hours doing that? Boy, that's pretty early. I mean, before school, obviously.
They would like to have you have the last paper delivered by 7.
By 7?
Yeah, and it wasn't easy for me to get up because
winter couldn't have been a lot of fun. Sometimes.
I mean, there were days 20 below zero.
I mean, we're talking like a couple hours or so, or how long?
Probably took an hour 15 minutes to do it. You would do it subconsciously because you're doing every single day. And
Wow, that's impressive, Hawk. That's work.
Being the Nighthawk, my weird sleeping hours didn't start in my adult years. It was really pretty much junior high when I realized, like, I'm strange.
I'm sure it was fun to get up in a pouring rainstorm and do that.
Oh, absolutely. And he did it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I always had money in my pocket. I never had to bum any money from my folks.
Right.
And if I wanted a 10-speed bike, I literally just went out and bought a 10-speed bike.
Yeah, my memories of my job in high school are such good memories. I wish my two old bosses who were long, Arnie Shapiro and Lloyd Schulder, West Hingham Pharmacy. But great job. It was just so nice to have my own bucks and stuff. These guys treated me well. It was just, it was a great job. They treated me well.
Yeah. So,
I feel bad for, Bart's grandkids and a bunch of other, my guy.
Yeah.
That's tough. I guess an obvious cost-cutting move, that's all,
Yeah. No, I know you probably would like to remain on the fence, but do you notice any change of the quality of the paper, the content from today versus?
Yeah, I appreciate your way too kind words for me. The key for me are, keeping the staff and the reporters, as long as they're around, it's still a pretty good paper. It still seems like I notice that they run more so-called canned stuff, just stuff they get from outside sources, whoever it is. And they do note that. The Free Press for a while was doing some of that, I think, not making it clear whether it was their own people or somebody else. But I think staff reported. I think they're hanging in there, I think, with the staff they had. So they're the key people to me, obviously. So and Emerson, how many big papers don't even bother with daily that he's punching out an edit a day pretty much is unreal.
And I will say this about your article. And I've told you before, I probably like 80% of them. Probably 1 out of 5. I did, wasn't like it was bad writing. It was just a topic. I had no interest.
Of course,
but
I understand.
About every 6 weeks, you would write a really in-depth weather
I love
summary.
Weather. Yeah.
And I like to learn stuff. Like I like to read something and say, geez, I didn't know that. Yeah. And, typically you would have stuff in your...
Yeah. That's actually my one sadness about my demise of the Messenger. I was hoping to do a monthly weather column. I talked to Emerson about it personally once, and he was interested, but again, it gets down to
the bucks.
Buckos. I lowered my price a bit, but I'm not going to do it for free. Hawk, one program which you might not have picked up. No, they've changing the phone system or something. We are not able to get phone calls tonight. Mr. Zach reported that, I think, right before you came in.
Okay, I did not know that.
And next week may be shaky too, but can't get. So sorry, folks, if you're watching. And then they're call in next week. Hopefully, show will return.
Will the phone number, not that I have it memorized, will that remain the same?
I didn't ask Zach. Zach that 528-5315. I think. Don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry for those who do call us. Thanks
now,
anyway.
On a personal note, you're not using your kayaks tomorrow, are you?
No, and I'd love to think you are. I'm real busy.
Good.
Mr. Ian's about to go off on his biggest adventure of his life, probably a 3-week camp doing 2 weeks of canoeing.
Oh, great.
And he's a good athletic kid, but this is going to be pretty serious, starting in western Maine, and I think coming down a lot of the Connecticut River.
Okay, great.
I'd never heard. Jennifer picked up on these guys, Croca Expeditions out of Marlow, New Hampshire, not too far into New Hampshire from Bellows Falls, Vermont. And these guys do some amazing stuff. Some of the stuff is like winter, like survival camping. But this is 3 weeks he's away, and 2 weeks is actually canoeing and stuff. It's quite the journey. So anyway.
Yeah.
Between his grandmother, Anna Neville, kudos to Anna, had her 95th birthday.
Granddaughter after the show tonight.
So you're going to get out?
So we're going to go canoeing and...
Good. I got my guy Alex all day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Great. I'm glad you're going to use them.
Yeah. And I will say, and I promise we do have a sports show here, but mowing the lawn today, I would have paid someone to mow. It's like 75, 76 degrees, a nice steady breeze throughout the day. Yeah. It was wonderful out there today.
Yeah, this is your kind of weather, mine too.
And people ask me, and of course we're into our 17th season, believe it or not, us doing this.
A lucky number.
Like, gosh, you've done it a long time, you still enjoy doing it. And I am honest, during these 3 summer months,
a little tougher.
It's tough. Like
we miss Mr. Handy and Nick. It's nice to have 3 people on board.
Yeah, but this way I keep company with you.
Yeah.
When you work with someone and you leave, oh, don't worry, Duke. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah.
We'll do lunch. You never see him again. But, like I said, we've known each other for about 40 years.
Yeah.
And I left the radio station in 88.
So 88?
Yeah.
I left, I made it to
Right. So that's-
Christmas 2000
Right,
almost.
so that's 31 years, and we still keep in touch.
Yeah,
Although
I'm just sorry. I apologize for my almost invisible presence on the golf course, and don't kayak as much. But hockey, the best of friends, buddy. I appreciate it big time.
So okay, might as well do some sports since we're here.
Well, let me just talk, as we're talking weather, just briefly. Burlington missed an official heat wave, I guess, by 1 degree. I think it was 90 Friday, 94 Saturday. Pretty tough day. 89 Sunday, but still for us, pretty tough
Well,
weather.
that reminds me. I'm watching the Channel 3 11 o'clock news a couple nights ago, and they gave the 90-degree stats from last year.
Yeah.
And
Oh, there were
harkened my
tons.
memory
Tons.
that the summer of 2018,
17 maybe?
all I did was whine the whole summer, because I remember last year, I can't wait for summer 10.
Yeah.
I hate it. You're absolutely, there were 17 days last year of
17,
90 or
that is-
above.
that's
In the
unreal.
month of July last year, 11 days of 90
That's unreal.
and
The
above.
average for Burlington, I think, is like maybe 5 or 6. Did the heat keep you from playing golf? I forget, Saturday or Sunday?
We did not play Saturday.
You would have played ordinarily?
Yeah, we saw it was going to be 94 degrees. And it's one thing with the heat, but when it's that humid,
the humidity
and
is
of course
the thing.
we walk, and I kind of require oxygen when I play.
No, that would have been a tough day.
Yeah.
You played Sunday?
Did play Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, played last night.
Wasn't quite as hot. Last night was very nice.
Last night was nice. Yeah.
I haven't forgotten golf. I'll get back to it, and I'm sure we'll talk Open Championship. But football, I got to think, is
Well, that's my
football
opening
uppermost
story.
on your mind?
Absolutely. So very excited. Training camp has officially opened.
Really? Unreal.
News with the Patriots. I don't know if it's real news.
I guess Edelman was the biggest news. Is there other news of note?
Well, Tom Brady's on his last year of his contract.
Yeah, the contract's getting some attention. Patriots don't seem to go out of their way to overpay the guy.
No, and Tom Brady has said in the past he has taken a lower salary so they can get the bodies in here because his legacy is like nobody else's.
And even with that, it's not like they typically overload him with a ton of bodies.
Right. Yeah.
So you're hearing as Brady tends to not say much. I mean, I wonder if he's saying, "Hey guys, last year of my contract, you owe me around. You might want to re-up me
I
at
haven't
some
heard that,
point."
and I've said on the show numerous times. I've never heard Tom Brady say negative
You'd
things.
think if push came to shove, you would think Robert Kraft would jump in and do something.
You know what?
But that is a little.
It's
that
not
is a little weird.
beyond a guy like Robert Kraft when Brady retires. Just take out his personal checkbook and cut him a check for $20 million and say, "Hey, thanks, Tom," because Robert Kraft is a highly successul billionaire businessman.
Yeah.
But you ask him what his greatest joy in life, and he's not going to say it's the $1 billion. It's the fun I've had with the football.
Yeah.
And Robert Kraft certainly doesn't shy away from the cameras.
Sometimes unfortunately
Too much, in my
for him.
opinion. Now, somebody will argue, well, what about Jerry Jones with the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah.
That you're talking apples and oranges, because Jerry Jones is the general manager of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So he has an
For good or
official
bad,
position.
probably bad.
Yeah. Well, Jerry Jones did play college football at Ole Miss.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he was a decent college football player. So he does have some knowledge.
But Brady, that's interesting. Yeah. So I'm hearing a few rumblings from the Boston, sports talk people. It's the last year of his contract.
And the Pats signed tight end Lance Hendricks, a veteran today. They have bodies at tight end. Now, Tom Brady obviously has the ability to take a mediocre player and make him look pretty good. But if I put a $100 bill on the table right now and bet about Gronkowski, not my head, just my gut is telling me he'll be back.
I mean, I hope from a Patriots point of view, I hope you're right, but I'll believe it when I see it. I'm just not buying into that. But I hope you're right. They could obviously use him down the.
Yeah, I just think these guys in such great condition that they might need 1 week of training camp, no exhibition.
I mean, that
games.
could be, but still, I mean, he's got such a good life ahead of him.
Oh, absolutely.
Why risk? I mean,
the only thing on that is he misses it, and I agree with you. He's got his own legacy.
I haven't heard anything from Boston media about Gronk in a few weeks now. Yeah, we'll see. No, it's worth paying attention. Any noteworthy news out of your Giants camp? Did they just open like today, or
yeah? Pat Schumer, the head coach of the Giants, and I've read all kinds of crap all year about Daniel Jones being picked at 6.
Yeah.
Some telling comments today. This is from Jordan Ronnie, whatever, from ESPN. Some telling comments today from Coach Pat Shermer about Daniel Jones and saying that so far he's exceeded expectations. He's impressed with his smarts, his ability to throw, and his mobility. We haven't seen anything he can't do in terms of playing quarterback. Now, Phil Simms, I read 2 days ago that he said, and he's got no dog in the fight here, that the Giants did the right thing in taking Jones at the 6th position. He said there's no way he would have ever lasted to the 17th pick.
I'm sorry, who's
Phil Simms said that.
No, Phil Simms?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cincinnati was picking 11, and word was that they were highly interested. Now, I don't think there was a great crop of quarterbacks. I wasn't. And another thing too, and I told you too about Jones. The greatest asset he has coming into the NFL was he played with a mediocre program with Duke.
Yeah.
He played 3 seasons with Duke. He played 2,604 snaps with Duke. Now, Dwayne Haskins went to Washington with the 15th overall pick. He played a total of 11 games with Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I keep saying your kid Ian probably could play for Ohio State. And maybe not throw 50 touchdown passes, but 40. Haskins, I mean, Ohio State is a machine. And I always tell you, go ahead, Duke, tell me how many great Ohio State quarterbacks has there been in the NFL? You can't name them because there isn't any.
Is that right?
Duke, I think your mic fell off.
Oh, really? Thanks, Hawk. You're a more observant guy than me.
So, did it fall?
Exactly. I got it. Might have curled inside. Thanks, Hawk.
Yeah. Now, the Patriots, being once again the defending NFL champions.
Yeah.
Training camp gets here. There's really not a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Just because they're the best team in football. They will continue to be the best team in football until they're knocked off.
Yes.
I've never disrespected this team. And all last year, they lost the previous years in the Super Bowl to
the wild shoot, the
Philadelphia.
Shootout.
Yeah. And all I kept
despite
reading,
Mr. Brady's 505 passing yards.
All I kept reading was the window was shut on the Patriots.
And not to mention the story that got, I'm sure there was something to it, but the Brady Belichick Kraft rift, however that played out, that was getting a ton of attention. And I'm sure there was something to it.
Yeah, I would say it was more much ado about nothing, but, Tom Brady, probably a genius. If he knew this team was not going to be competitive or overly competitive, he wouldn't be coming back. But you drafted another running back this year. The kid that you had from last year.
Sony Michel, a little concern there. He's starting on PUP, physically unable to perform.
It appears that you have 2 really good running backs.
Rex Burkhead, I'm not concerned about it.
Ease the workload of Brady a little bit more running.
Which is fine with me. I think that's a good way to go anyway.
And
you can appreciate that.
Absolutely. With Gronk not being there, then what you put in is more of a blocking tight end. And you give these running backs, a better chance to, get into the...
That's maybe. They'll miss Gronk's blocking maybe as much as his pass catching.
So, Yeah. So on Hard Knocks, I know you don't get HBO, but the team this year is the Oakland Raiders, which will be very entertaining with John Gruden being the coach there.
Coming off a lousy, he'd be expected to be a better team.
Yeah. And a team like Oakland's a team you want to watch on that show. You don't want to watch Patriots because it's going to be too vanilla, dull, boring. So, and the quarterback for Oakland is kind of under the gun this year, David Carr. Yeah.
Good QB.
Yeah. So that should be good. The Giants, hopefully this is the last time we'll hear of him, is OBJ was in the news this week. He's the cover boy of GQ magazine this month. And feeling disrespected by the Giants.
Is that right?
The only reason
you must be happier by the day that he's gone.
Absolutely.
Huh?
The only reason the Giants continued, which they did for some reason, the primetime games, because I was always amazed how the Giants would get primetime games because they have not been a very good football team for the last 3-4 seasons.
Yeah.
And he said the only reason they got it was because of me.
Because of him.
I was the show. I was the Giants brand. Now, the only good thing I'd say about OBJ is he got rid of his ridiculous clown haircut. So he's got a nice haircut. And he said during an interview yesterday that the only reason I talk about this is because you guys asked me questions about the Giants. Now, what OBJ should say is, okay, enough about the Giants. I'm a Brown. Training camp has opened up. That's a past chapter of my life story. I think there's a ton of hype with the Cleveland Browns. Everybody's going to be watching on the Cleveland Browns this year. Baker Mayfield, Spurs controversy. He doesn't mind the limelight being on him. So that'll be a fun team to watch.
I think it will be. I just heard Dan Patrick. He does like a sports minute and stuff, just talking about the Browns. How he's, it should be a fun year. These guys are a team that looks like an improving team. And good for Browns fan. Boy, talk about a long dry spell. I wish him well.
Good luck. But when you have a Mayfield, a Jarvis Landry, and OBJ in the same team, there are going to be much sparks flying during the course of the season. And between Landry and OBJ, there's going to be numerous times, you're not getting the ball to me. I've got to touch the ball, blah, blah, blah.
And OBJ is pretty open. Doesn't he say that? He's pretty obviously very clear about that.
He'll say stuff, I'm the best receiver in football. I should be getting the ball.
You got to throw me the ball.
Yeah. So,
wow.
We got a first round pick, the 17th overall pick that we picked up defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence from Clemson. And the other guy was the starting safety, former first-round pick of 2 years ago, Jabril Peppers. So it's not like we got nothing for him. And plus, we also got Kevin Zeitler, right guard, in that trade because they also included Olivier Vernon in the trade. So the Giants made out fine. So now, are the Giants going to be facing the Patriots in the Super Bowl? Of course not. Will we make the playoffs? More than likely, no. But I'd say
your best guess is 500, 8-8.
Yeah, 8-8 this year, and Manning's going to have to.
And that begs the question: if they're an 8-8 team, obviously it depends how. Don't they have a bit of an easier schedule earlier than later?
Yeah.
I was going to say 8-8 team. Is Manning playing just about all the time? Does Mr. Jones get some time?
The only time I would say Jones would play is once the Giants are mathematically out.
You wouldn't. I mean, what about if they're either blowing out somebody or maybe more likely getting? You wouldn't throw them in just late in the game once in a while.
You know what? And I've always said the same. Quarterbacks don't like to be taken out of the
Brady,
game.
You could look at Brady.
Brady will not come out of a game. You know why? They pad their stats.
Okay.
They do that because, believe it or not, one day Brady will be retired, and Tom Brady will pick up a pro football history book, and he's going to see Brady here, Brady.
No, he
will not come out of the game. No.
Interesting. So what about so again, he's on his last year of his contract. I wonder if that's happened before. If you're the Patriots, say, Tom, have a good year. Of course, we'll want you back next year.
Yeah. I mean,
does that seem kind of strange to you, or
I'm certainly not going to label him as the lame duck.
Yeah, and it's hard to picture Brady, getting upset and saying, "Hey, screw you guys, I'll go play for somebody else next year."
Yeah.
Especially with Kraft, you got to think things don't get too crazy, I guess.
No, I mean,
boy, when are these? I can't. Boy, we're talking what, July 24th today?
Yeah.
Geez, so these guys are going at it. So we're talking, serious scrimmages. I know some of the Patriots practice, maybe all teams are open to the public. This, for fans, it must be great. I don't think they even charge them or don't charge them much, but we're talking the first games, in
August 2nd,
2 weeks from
the Hall of Fame game.
Hall of Fame.
So
and
we're talking a week and a half, a week from Saturday.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
And everybody else probably 2 weeks from this Friday or Saturday.
Exactly. And I told you before the show started, you were talking about going to your camp in the Northeast Kingdom.
Yeah.
I said, Duke, forget this show.
Yeah.
Just go to your camp. We have 5 weeks of summer left.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, interesting. So do you get much? You're all over any info you get out of training camp? You're all over this.
I just check on Giant News.
Yeah.
And I'm not a technological guy, but I thank God every night for the internet because it's just a ton of
Are you picking up newspaper stories or just stuff that Giants throw out?
I will go to Jersey newspapers, the Post and stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. And I used to get a publication called the Giants Insider. It was a newspaper, weekly newspaper.
Yeah.
I stopped subscribing to it because, say you get the paper by Friday.
Yeah.
Well, the word news is 4 letters. The first 3 letters spells out what?
NEW, new.
New. Well, when you get a newspaper on Friday about Sunday's game, it's not new anymore. That's what newspapers mean.
Yeah.
A new paper. You've got information. When we were kids, we literally didn't know scores until that following morning. And like the West Coast games, it would be like Boston at Oakland, West Coast. So you still wouldn't know until you listen to the radio or something like that.
It's funny you mentioned scores. I'm going to mention something that may, especially if you don't know this, but I'm sure you probably do. I'll acknowledge it because it may come up later. I had a real busy day. It was my kid's brother's, William's 26th birthday.
Yeah.
He was doing great out on the West Coast. I know, as I think about it, I know the Red Sox had a day game today. I don't even know if they won. Do you know if they won? Tampa Bay
lost 3-2.
Really? Thank you.
And it's too bad we don't have a phone line tonight. And I didn't spend any time. But Alex Cora put the game under protest because Tampa made a series of changes.
Really?
One including taking their DH out. And again, I just didn't have time to focus in on what it was. So I think
Red Sox still won the series.
Yeah.
Well, last night was scary though. 5-2 lead in the ninth, then in the bottom of the ninth, and Brandon Workman's been probably their best relief pitcher.
Yeah.
He's got the major's best batting average, the lowest batting average against 110 or something. But he had a guy 0-2, ended up walking him, and they barely hung new meaning to the term hanging on last night. They still did win the series, but
and I get it.
I'm still not convinced I'm seeing these guys postseason, Hawk.
The consistent word on the Red Sox this year is inconsistent. However, and
I don't even know who started today.
David Price.
Oh, David. Boy.
Okay.
Not my favorite.
All right.
The Price-Eckersley thing.
We'll concede first place to the Yankees.
What a win. The Yankees were down, I think, 8-2 last night. Came back and beat Minnesota.
They're 9.5 games up. So you look over the wild card page. Okay. And this is the most interesting story to me.
Six teams?
The Cleveland Indians, as we speak, are the first wild card team by 1.5 games. This is a team that traded some players away during the winter. I believe Trevor Bauer, a real good pitcher, is a free agent after the season. He was going to be ticketed out by the trade deadline next week. Well, all of a sudden, Cleveland, as I said, it's got the first wild card spot. But forget that. We've talked about the Twinkies a lot being so good.
Yeah.
Duke, the Tribe, they're only 3 games
Wow, is that
behind
right?
the Twinkies.
Twinkies are up by like about 9-10 games at some
sir.
point.
And
wow.
if they keep their team together,
Wow.
I mean, I'll go on record by saying Cleveland will once again win that division.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible. They have been winning so many. They're 58-42
Wow.
right now. It's just been an incredible season. Oakland, God bless them.
Yeah,
I don't
great
know how they
story.
do it with their very small payroll.
Yeah.
They have the second wild card spot. Tampa is 1 game out, and Tampa's been sliding for the last month.
And now 1 game ahead of the Red. I think they were tied going into
Sox,
today.
exactly. And Boston's 2 games out. I still say the Red Sox will get one of those 2 wild card spots.
Well, the next couple, the Red Sox, again, just finished a 3-game series, of course, with Tampa Bay. Their next 11 games are Yankees next in Tampa Bay. Red Sox are, have Yankees in Tampa Bay for a couple weeks here, I think.
Yeah. In the National League, Atlanta is 5 games up on Washington. The Cubbies are a half game above St. Louis. And the Dodgers, the world's best baseball team, 14.5.
Boy, the Dodgers
up on the
better win
Giants.
another series one of these years. So,
Now, the interesting case of the San Francisco Giants was Madison Bumgarner, one of your, say, top 10 pitchers in baseball.
North Carolina boy.
He was ticketed out of Frisco.
Really?
Well,
where did he go?
Will be.
Well, will be.
Was going to be. Well,
Okay.
the Giants are playing ridiculous baseball. They've won like 17 out of 20.
Really?
Okay. Now,
that right? Wow.
Duke, they were one of the worst teams. Now, as we sit here, the Nats have the first wild card spot, 1 game up.
Yeah.
St. Louis and Philadelphia are tied for the second spot. The Brewers, Duke, 1.5 out. The Giants, 2 games out.
Wow.
And you even have the Diamondbacks, 3 games out.
Wow.
So it's 6
good.
teams. Now, as we've talked about excessively on the show every week, is the dearth of quality of bullpen pitching.
Yeah.
And with so many teams in contention for a playoff spot, these relief pitchers that you would just kind of get for a jock strap and a bag of balls, they're going to be asking for like top-notch prospects in your minor league system.
You think so?
And I told Joe last night on the golf course, the Nats have the best starting staff in baseball, period.
Yeah.
Bullpen has been terrible. And I told Joe last night, I do not want to trade a top-notch prospect, and we have very few down in the minors, for a mediocre type relief pitcher.
Yeah.
And I'll go with what I have, and hopefully their poor performance in the first half will rebound and pitch that much better. The Nats bullpen has been much better. But I just want to tell you, the Nats at one point, I think, had the second worst. They were 19-31, Duke. May 24th.
Unreal.
Last 50 games, they've gone 35-15.
That's impressive. Hawk, I heard a little bit of Buster Olney on 101.3 today. He had high praise for your, I guess, GM, Mike Rizzo, had high praise for the Nets. And I think just touched on their relief pitching being the big concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an impressive turnaround.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, the 5 games behind Atlanta, and of those 5 games, we've lost 5 games to Atlanta because of the bullpen.
So sorry, you're right now you're a wild.
We would be in the wild card, and I think I told you last week.
Hey, maybe you'd fare better with a wild card than being the division champs for a change.
You last year won 108 ball games.
Yeah.
Now
regular season.
You're in the throes of the wild card race.
Yeah.
Every night when you have it on Nesson, it is an extremely important game.
Yeah.
For the Nets, we're only 1 game up for the Wild. Now, I mowed my lawn today.
Yeah.
I hate to do this, but every game is an important game. So after I mowed the lawn, no, I did not jump in the shower. The Nats got rained out Monday night, so the makeup game was today at 1:05. DVR'd the game, started watching it around 3 o'clock, watched the ball game, and we beat the Rockies 2-1. Okay, now the second game, just started as we speak, being DVR'd, and I'll watch that later tonight.
This is separate admission or
Yes,
real?
separate admission. Dude, those days when
you made me think of something.
There is no such thing as one ticket for doubleheaders.
Schedule, but guess what the Yankees did? I'd love to know more about this. We can't get a call. The Yankees actually got rained out against Baltimore, maybe Sunday. The Yankees had a real doubleheader Monday. Again, I might have the days wrong, but they had a doubleheader. It wasn't a separate admission. I happened to be listening to this, and I confirmed as much.
Okay,
I can't believe they did that.
I've
How
never
could they
heard of.
possibly do that?
Because, for example,
what about the 40,000 people who would have been there on the rainout? And
Yeah.
But I swear it was a regular straight doubleheader.
Because what happens at the Nats, and say the game got done at 4:20, is they clear the stadium. Everybody has to leave.
Sure.
They clean it up, and then they'll open the stadium back up at 5:30.
Sure. So you didn't catch. I wish I had more, but I'm pretty sure it was a regular doubleheader.
Yeah. But just some tidbits about Colorado. And I know nobody follows Colorado, but it's a very dubious franchise by playing in Denver with a mile high altitude air. I mentioned on this show probably last winter, Nolan Arenado. He's won a Golden Glove 6 years in a row, so I can't take that away from him.
Yeah.
But,
and of course, the guy
hitter.
the Yankees picked up was a very good player.
DJ LeMahieu. He's leading the league in batting. He's never had a ton of power, but he gets on base. Arenado last year hit 323 in Denver and hit 262 on the road. Now, collectively, this year, 2019, Colorado in Denver is hitting 307 batting average.
Really?
On the road, 223.
Is that right?
So,
that's a pretty, I mean, obviously a lot of teams.
When you're making trades, you look at your splits. When you're looking at Hall of Fame candidates,
that's quite
like
the
a Larry
split.
Walker. Larry Walker was crazy. He got about 75% of his home runs were in Denver.
Really?
So it's a very strange.
That's quite the split. I mean, obviously the Red Sox hit way better at Fenway than on the road, but boy, an 80 points split or so, that's significant.
And Fenway's always had that misconceived notion of being a home run ballpark.
God, right field,
it is not a home run. It's an average home run ballpark.
Yeah.
It's a great ballpark for batting average, which it is, but it's not a home run.
As I've said a million times, medium right in Fenway is 380.
Yeah.
I got to think that's the deepest medium right in baseball. I can't imagine anybody's deeper.
Yeah. I still laugh every time. It might happen 4 times a year when somebody gets a home run at pesky pole, just barely.
Once in a while.
And pesky
which is
pole,
only 306 or something.
I mean, it's the shortest right field.
Left field line's 320, right. But I mean, you have to hit it, right down the line to get a real benefit of that. Yeah.
And those guys that sit there, I've never sat there, but it's really cool. Their seats are about same height to the fence, I am right now.
Yeah.
Now, well, let's see, one more tidbit. Trevor Story, the shortstop for Colorado, 4th year. He's the only shortstop in the history of baseball to start their career for 4 consecutive years with 20-plus home runs.
Really?
I mean, that just tells you about Denver. Now, I was just going to say, netting. The Nats put up netting all the way to the left and right field foul pole, and not all the fans are happy because you're paying major buckos to have that field level seat.
Yeah.
Now, next time I go to a ball game, I will not be sitting on the first level. The second level will be a couple years ago, 3 now, I remember, and I used to go down to Nationals Park much more than I do now. So I haven't been there, I think, 3 years.
Yeah.
But I remember buying a really nice ticket for myself and my wife, and I said, Donna, it's not like we go down to DC all the time for baseball. We're going to buy ourselves a nice seat here. It's going to cost some bucks, but no big deal. So I bought them when they went on sale in February. A few weeks later in March, they had extended their netting to the end of the dugout. And I sat there during the game, and I'm sorry, all I could think of is fish. The netting.
Really?
And even when I'm watching games, a lot of ballparks are the Dodgers announced today that they'll be extending it here in a week or two. you can see the visual on your TV screen that the camera peering right through the net.
Because I've just caught so far one lake monster. Finally,
Okay.
I'm sorry to neglect our lake monsters. I've just caught one game so far, just part of a game, and I'd love to sit up top, behind kind of third base.
Yep.
And the nettings here just didn't
yep.
bother me. But while I've got lake monsters, and I'm sorry I've neglected them, they're on the road right now, but home later this week. In fact, Saturday night's a fireworks night for folks who want to head down there. They're home Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, then on the road again. But fireworks this Saturday night. Not having a great year. I think they're in last place in their division.
What day did you go on, and what was the attendance?
Oh, I was down. I was visiting my cousin David, my cousin in Burlington.
Yep.
Had a hip replacement operation. Went down to see him and his sister, my fellow cousin Sarah, one of my favorite people. I had dinner with her at Vermont Pub and Brewery, a good solid place. But as I was going home, I was going right by the ballpark and jumped in. So, boy, you're asking me a date here. It was a Friday night.
Okay,
maybe back to June. Maybe, how about June 28th, possibly? Friday, June 28th.
So can you recall what the attendance was?
I stayed for about 4, kind of middle of the game. I guess I didn't hear the attendance. I'm trying to think. It certainly wasn't packed.
Yep.
I'm guessing maybe 2,000 to 22, 23. Attendance has come down.
See the highlights nightly on Channel 3.
A lot of empty
There's
seats.
a lot of empty seats.
Attendance has come down over the years. I mean, for a while, I think they were averaging close to 3,000 a game.
Yep.
It's probably closer to 2 or low to mid 2s
My
now.
simple adage, if you don't play the game like we did as kids, you're not going to develop the love for the game. You're not going to be begging your parents to take me to the ball game.
Yeah.
All that
Although
type of
some minor league teams are doing pretty well. But no, their attendance has gone down some. I will be back. In fact, I'll be back in a couple of weeks. But again, so again, a fireworks night Saturday night, if that does anything to anyway. I'm just checking if there are noteworthy promotions too. But they're not having a great year. Let's see. Might as well just a promotion this Friday night, July 26th, 2 nights from now. Halloween at the ballpark, presented by KW Vermont. Put on your best costume and trick or treat on the concourse with the players. Okay. Saturday night, fireworks night, Star Wars. Star Wars night brought to you by Green Mountain Transit. Post-game fireworks. Okay.
They do a good job of their fireworks. I've been down there before.
Is that right? I'm not sure.
They do good. So the only one I'm interested is Hot Dog Heaven.
I should mention the next Hot Dog Heaven. Tuesday, August 13th. Tuesday can be a night. That's a night I'd consider typically a good night. Tuesday,
I would
August
consider
13th.
that it's a golf night, but I would golf during the afternoon, go down the game, and I will.
Yeah, maybe we can pull off
will
that
not
night.
make a pig of myself, and I might just cut myself off at 8 hot dogs.
At 8, boy, I would inconceivable. I'd have more than 4. I might have 4.
Now,
of course, that's also a busy night, though. I mean, there are going to be lines of people going for hot dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway,
what I would do is
game.
get 4 dogs before the game, then later get 4 more. But the issue down there is they're in boiled water. They're not grilled.
No, we're not talking grilled dogs.
So
not talking
those don't
dogs.
taste all that good, but for 25 cents.
Quarter, hard to complain.
So if I have 8 dogs, that's all of $2.
It's not a big hit.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get to that game or some game.
But is there nothing better in this world than a grilled hot dog?
Yeah, grilled hot dogs.
Hot dogs are hot dogs, but boy, when they get in the grill, they just turn into a filet mignon.
Hawk, since we last talked about Montreal and Tampa Bay, have you heard anything more about was that story just like a 1 or 2 day story or something? Splitting the season?
Yeah.
Ludicrous story.
Yeah. It was a 2-day story, and I believe it is a ludicrous story because there's no way Tampa is going to build a new stadium for 40 games.
Speaking, I did ask my friend Roy, who's my, we're talking a Duke football season ticket holder living in Underhill, Vermont, where I noticed a bear got not into his house, but somehow a bear got into a house for a couple of days. Anyway, I asked him about the stadium. What did you say it was? Point Charles or Cape, something like that?
In Montreal.
He said
Charles.
He said that when you come across Champlain Bridge, he said it's not too far, I think maybe to the left side as you're heading into the city.
Okay.
Because he mentioned the Atwater exit and maybe Verdun. I think Verdun's down that way. So I think it's down that way somewhere.
You would take the Atwater exit
to get to the old Montreal Forum.
Absolutely.
But I think he had it down, maybe as you come over the bridge, down a little south, I guess, to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
I forgot to look at a map and check that
Stephen
out.
Brofman bought the property, or at the very least, put an option on the property. So that's not an issue. And if they were granted a franchise, say Tampa, came up. It's usually like, say today they would announce Tampa. It wouldn't be next season. It would be the season after. So what Montreal, the franchise, would do is put the world's best artificial turf on. That was the biggest complaint with the Big O, because they didn't have money. The AstroTurf, they called it green cement, and that did Andre Dawson's knees in playing there. But they would put some nice artificial turf in there, and they would play, the first 2 seasons in the Big O while the construction of the new ballpark. Now, I forgot
you've told me that
within 10 years.
You're giving me a guarantee on this?
I'm giving you a guarantee that that
within 10 years.
Within 10 years.
Montreal will have a baseball team.
Yeah.
I mean, needless to say, I think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I pray you're right.
Now, don't die on me, because I'm the type of guy to go on your grave, knock on your gravestone and say, Duke, I told you so.
Boy, if it happens and I'm no longer with us, please try to exhume me if you can.
Yeah. Now, I forgot to tell you, 2-3 weeks ago, the Nats had a throwback game where they wore the Montreal Expos.
Oh, yeah, I think I might have seen that.
And that's the first time in the 15-year history of the Nationals they did that. And that was, I was coming home from
15 years
I've been down in DC. Yes, sir. So I was on my way back from Baltimore, and I did not record the games. Of course, I was on vacation. I didn't record any of the games. So I had my laptop with me, and I read my news and sports every evening, and I saw they were going to wear Expo uniform. So I got hold of my youngest brother and said, Tommy, I said, you've got to do me a favor here. You got to get to the house and record this game.
Oh, yeah?
Which he did do. He called back and told me all set. So I got home from Baltimore, say midnight that night, and on the DVR was the game. Duke, I flopped on my bed, watched the game, and it made me feel like I was 11 years old.
Is that right?
To watch a 9-inning game, Max Scherzer pitch, and everybody sprawled out in their Montreal Expo uniform. It was like...
So these are unis that they
It was the 1969 Montreal Expo, the clown hat.
Is that right? Which I wear once in a while.
Right, or the tricolor hat,
wow,
which I wore on the show last week,
That must have made you feel great.
Oh, it was absolutely fabulous. I screamed to my
maybe
wife.
Lucky Chris Sale wasn't on the Nats. We wouldn't have wanted Chris to have cut these unis up.
Yeah, because when I started dating Donna about 20 years ago, she had never gone to a Montreal Expo game.
Yeah.
And she's not a big sports guy.
Yeah, not surprising.
And so I brought her up there, and she loved it.
Is that right?
She loved to go to the ball games. Of course, we'd go to La Belle
Provence.
La Belle Provence, and that was back then. It was 69 cents a hot dog.
That's unreal.
Or you get a pita de poulet that I liked, and the fries would have gravy on it and all the poutine, I guess.
Yeah, poutine.
And it would fill up, and then you get the only money I would spend at the ballpark would be like a soda and creamy glacé mole.
I might get a creamy.
The creamy glacé mole is just a good old fashioned creamy, but it was unbelievably good.
Yeah. Not to mention spending maybe like $5 to get into the ballpark or something.
Yeah. So
boy, Montreal. Like I'm feeling bad about Montreal. Is just kind of the traffic scene just sounds so horrible. In fact, like Anna Neville, just happy birthday. Had her 95th birthday. Had a real nice party
with 2 to 6
over at 1906
last Sunday.
Yeah, about 2 to 6.
And a lot of folks come to visit.
I think about 50 folks or so. It was a very nice party. But why was I getting into that? It was I'm sorry. It's in Montreal. Good friends of hers and Jennifer's, a couple from Montreal, great folks, came down. And I just mentioned the traffic. I said, hey, Johanna, Eric, I'm just freaked out. And I said, it's not good, but I'm just I've spent more time in Quebec City lately than Montreal. I just keep praying that Amtrak,
Well,
if it stays with us, will finally. But I haven't heard one reference to that in a year.
If the Montrealer ever comes back, and you have to come to my house and drag me by the throat to go on, I would love to do that. Okay, what is worse? Montreal traffic or Boston traffic?
Yeah,
because I find
Boston's not good.
They say Boston and Washington are about the two worst cities for traffic.
Boston's not good. I mentioned my cousin Sarah, cousin David, who came up to check on her brother with her hip, because she lives in Brookline, right next to Boston. And I mentioned that to Sarah, and she said, it's not good. Yeah, it's and Boston's such a small city. But traffic, boy, I think about my father. He was just hooked into Route 128, America's technology highway out of Needham from Hingham, just probably, boy, if he was lucky, maybe an hour for probably like 30 years or so. I just can't imagine doing that.
So it took him an hour?
Well, it must have been probably 40,
For
45.
how many miles to get to work?
It's probably 20, 25 miles.
Okay.
But I mean, rush hour.
Yeah.
Just going out on 128. Probably 45 minutes to an hour for, 30 years or so.
Well, I mentioned before, you being a veteran Boston guy.
Or suburban, more accurately, probably suburban Boston guy.
Drive to Boston, and I'd always,
of course, you blow right through it.
I can't believe how quick we made it to Boston. And say, Hawk, settle down, settle down. Yeah. Okay, it might have been quick to get to the outskirts. I said, you ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah. It's going to take just as long to go the last 8 miles as it was to.
Yeah, no, Boston traffic. From Hingham, you get on Route 3 and then Southeast Expressway.
Yeah.
I think it was open maybe circa 55, 56, and the first day it opened, it was hopelessly, outmoded by thousands of vehicles and stuff.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law got a real break in Hingham, had some good jobs in the Boston area, was able to take the commuter ferry.
Yeah.
I mean, what a break. I mean, putting years on your life.
Was that ferry operational in January?
Yeah, I think it's been there for a good, maybe 20 years or so, barring weather issues, but I think it's been pretty consistent.
And speaking of ferries, I always love the
ferries.
Burton's Island ferry.
Yeah, which
I was at the lake 2 days ago, I think, and I just sit back in my lounge chair, and I just watch that ferry. And that ferry is very old. And
the Island Runner.
Yeah.
If you have a few extra bucks, I think I've mentioned there's a great food concession on the Burton Island Bistro. My old friend Juanita does a great job out there, but it's very good, solid food if you have a few extra bucks and take the grandkids out there.
Kayak to Burton's Island tomorrow,
which is what I do.
And go out and eat.
That's not a crazy.
Because Donna usually packs.
Yeah, just go into the marina. Just in the marina, you can just see the swimming area as you're coming in towards the marina, kind of on your left there.
Yeah.
You can just put the kayak up, bring it up on the beach, and just walk around. But it's a very good food concession. Oh, that'd be a great thing to do.
Yeah.
No, that's not too long a trip.
Yeah, and I'm very cognizant of the limited time we have before Labor Day. It's crazy how quick it goes.
Yeah, I've been busy enough that we're talking midsummer plus here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Boy, the lake, just another quick weather thing. I just checked lake levels today. The lake's about 1.5 feet higher. It's obviously, with hot weather, down to about maybe 96.3 or so.
Lake
it's about a lake, I think 77 was the last temp, mid to high 70s. It's about 1.5 feet higher than it was last year. But I checked 2 years ago, and we're about a foot lower than it was 2 years ago.
But
higher than last year.
A couple days ago in the lake.
How's the water at the place?
The quality, and I always tell people, albeit never perfect, being like Champlain, but that extra 18 inches of water this year has helped greatly, because last year it was dry swimming in sludge. But the water for me was too warm. I like having goosebumps, and I like to have a towel to wake me, saying, "Oh, I'm cold."
So too warm.
A little too warm.
Although it still felt better than the Caribbean that you were in not too long ago.
Yeah, there was just nasty.
Yeah, warm. I think 77 was the last official temp I saw. I don't think I've ever seen it higher than that. I don't think I've never seen an 80. Probably has been.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing higher than 78 on Lake Champlain.
And I'll be swimming in the ocean and
boy, Hockey, obviously I shouldn't.
All the sharks.
Boy, sharks have become a big story.
Yeah. What's that town right next to Barnstable?
Barnstable. Well, Hyannis is an incorporated village in the town of Barnstable,
Okay.
I think, and
That's
it's Barnstable
where
County.
the beach is Barnstable or whatever it's pronounced.
It seems like it's more of an issue on the outer Cape, like trying to Easton. Of course, last year was the first fatal shark attack in Massachusetts in like 60 years or something.
Yeah,
and another pretty serious incident. But that tends to be more issues on the outer Cape, like Eastham, Truro area.
Yep.
Beaches that Clam Inn and I used to go to long ago all the time. And again, the bigger seal population seems to be the big reason. That's what's.
It wasn't that many years ago. The seal population was near extinction, and they outlawed seal hunting.
Yeah.
And
we maybe ought to rethink that.
We went out a few years ago on a seal watch.
Oh, you said on a seal watch,
yeah.
Huh?
And I told you on this very show recently that we were probably doing I don't want to call it a booze cruise. It was a lobster roll cruise.
Oh, really? That
where you eat
great.
prime rib and lobster roll.
There used to be
and has some very expensive beer.
Yeah.
They but anyway, so
a good time.
I remember just sitting there enjoying the weather, the ocean, and somebody says, "Oh, there's dolphins over there." And I said, "Boy, they've consumed too many beers. There's no dolphins here."
Yeah.
And another, so I looked, and lo and behold, and it's amazing. And I know nothing about how the Earth works, but if the ocean temperature goes up like a degree, how much further north seals, dolphins, sharks will come up? And they were in fact dolphins.
Yeah, but that's as I don't think I have to tell you, that's a huge issue on the Cape now.
Yeah,
I mean the shark situation.
So all you do, Duke, is
given that, I mean, your chances, not that makes the family of the person who was actually killed last summer. I mean, the chances are. But even me, I think
You're
I love
a good
ocean
swimmer.
swimming. Yeah. I'm a good swimmer, but it's hard. It's hard not for that to be a little disconnect. I'm vineyard bound in a couple of weekends. See Clam Man. The vineyard doesn't have the. I think I see just a seal there once in a while. Vineyard seems to have escaped this pretty easily so far.
Now, when I go in the ocean, I will typically swim over my head for a good swim.
I love
nice,
swimming over
clean
my head.
water.
Yeah.
Now, if a 14-foot, 800-pound shark gets on my leg, just keep my wits upon myself, get my thumbs and start gouging at their eyeballs.
I guess
that is what you're supposed to do.
I guess
now,
like bop them by their eyes or something.
Yeah, but I'm a fairly cool customer. But methinks I would like panic and say, "Gosh, what a way to die!" Yeah. Because I know like alligators, when they get you, or crocodiles, they will get you, won't kill you. They'll bring you down,
drag you back to their lair or something.
They'll drown you first, and like bears will. They like get you back of the neck and break your neck. Then they'll drag you back to their lair or the bushes for a meal to be consumed later.
Boy, the tourism folks on the Cape, though, that can't be helping. I'd like to think not too many people have changed their plans, but tourism, Cape Cod.
Well, the summer smash, I believe it was 1975, the movie Jaws.
Oh God, Jaws! That Jaws.
That was Massachusetts.
That was Martha's. I think did they call it Amityville? I think it was absolutely filmed.
No, it wasn't Amityville.
Sorry, that was the horror movie.
Yeah,
sorry. I think it still might have been. I think it might have been Amity, whatever.
Yeah, that's.
That didn't. Oh yeah, no, that did not do tourism.
Richard
much
Dreyfuss,
good.
Robert Shaw.
Yeah,
and the sheriff. He's not.
Roy Scheider.
Roy Scheider. Yeah.
I see it's on all the time. I see bits of that once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that was a good, solid vineyard movie.
Yeah, and the secrets of that movie was not showing the shark. Letting your imagination.
Which is, and I kind of like scary movies, but don't give me a lot of blood and gut. Boy, speaking of that, it's the best. It's the scariest movie. Was it The Quiet Place? Does that mean anything to you? This
With
was
John
a really
Krasinski?
Emily Blunt, who I
Yes,
love,
that's his wife.
and his wife, and the director.
I did see that movie.
Didn't you think that was a pretty effective movie?
It was a low-budget movie that actually did very well.
Good flick.
Is that how you pronounce his last name? John Krasinski?
I forget.
He
sounds
was
right.
Jim Halper on the TV show The Office.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm more into, and I know Emily Blunt more.
Yeah.
But that was very effective. You know, they're in this weird place, and you got to be quiet if you make. And they
Yes.
lost one of their kids
Yes.
by the kid
Yep.
screaming or something.
Now the movie
But that to me is an effective movie.
I want to see.
Of course, when she was coming down pregnant, she steps on a nail. That was fairly painful.
When people step on nails during movies, I feel it. I always.
See my arm? That was just tennis, reaching for a tennis ball. That Monday Night Tennis got my teammates were impressive with a bloody arm, but I guess I'll survive.
Summertime is not the great movie haven because it's always cartoons.
Have you seen
movies.
you guys still catching drive-in movies?
It's been
Just not much to
children's
see?
movies or superhero
really.
movies.
Neither, and superhero movies don't tend to do much
I'm
for
not
you.
a superhero. We used to buy at the pass
Boy,
down
you
there
used to go to a
10
lot of
punches,
movies.
and we typically average at least a dozen times down there.
Yeah.
And again, Don and I are just old-fashioned people. We can remember being kids. I have 4 brothers. She had 5 sisters.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, there wasn't a ton of money at the end of the week.
But once in a
that
while,
was the cheap
pack up
entertainment.
the car and go
pack
to the
everybody
DI.
in the station wagon, and those are really good, vivid childhood memories. And
Myself and Clayman at the Weymouth Drive-In. Oh, absolutely.
yeah, and Don and we've been once this year, and I think on the Jump On It deal, we bought 4 passes. But there's just nothing remotely close to go. But the movie I want to see, and this is the type of stuff, and I would like to talk to the owner, Peter Handy, down there.
Yeah.
It's like, just save one screen for adults. The movie yesterday.
In fact, my buddy Alex just saw that with his mother. I got a
Great premise.
So you haven't seen that yet?
No, but
that sounds like it'd be worth.
I don't know exactly what happened, but the guy wakes up to the world where nobody's ever heard a Beatles song, and they think he wrote all these songs. So
no, that sounds like a movie that'd be worth catching.
Yeah.
Hey, how can you go wrong with Beatles music?
Yeah. So all right,
that's interesting. You've had a very quiet summer. Just movies haven't been doing much for you.
No. I want to talk the Open.
Yeah, let's talk some Open.
Shane Lowry, heard the name before.
Yeah.
Knew nothing about him other than he was an Irishman.
Yeah.
So when I saw him and saw the belly on him, I said,
almost refreshing in a little way.
I said, I'm in love with that guy. I said, here's a guy that looks like me. Might play a bit better, but Duke, and I'll give Brooks Koepka props.
The guy tied for 4th.
Out of the last 10 majors, 8 top 10 spots. But his personality is just,
not high.
Now, the Shane Lowry is the type of guy you'd have at your next door neighbor to invite over for a beer.
Probably a beer or 2 or 3.
So
great guy.
down to earth. Yeah. I mean,
for him to win in Ireland or Northern Ireland, I mean, I was loving it. I caught a fair amount of it. Listened to some on PGA radio, but I caught a fair amount of it. Although it's funny, Sunday I was busy. I came home, and Golf Channel replays it. I was hoping I had caught maybe the first 6, 7 holes Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. Of course, they moved up the time because the weather was so shaky. And I finally got back in the evening, flipped on Golf Channel, was hoping for maybe the back 9. I got Lowry walking up the 18th, but that was okay. But that was cool.
Again, I DVR'd it. And all I do, him and Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, who seems like a good guy.
Great
I like
guy.
Tommy.
These European golfers are a lot nicer than American golfers.
I like Tommy Fleetwood.
Lowry was wearing all black, so it was easy to spot him. So when I say I watched the whole thing, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw every shot by Lowry because the old right thumb was going. Now, the turning point on Sunday was the first hole.
First hole, I was about to mention that. That could have easily been a 3-shot swing.
Absolutely.
I'm freaking out at the first hole.
And when he saw that 8-10 foot putt, and he fist pumped and he's not an overly emotional guy.
Yeah.
But
Because that made it worse too. And then Fleetwood had a good birdie putt and missed it. But yeah, that could have been a 3-shot swing.
because I have never seen a golfer look so nervous.
Yeah.
Because he's a mediocre, average golfer at best, hasn't done much in his career.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, a little better, but yeah, he hasn't had a star-studded career.
Right.
I think at Hilton Head, I think he might have had even an early lead last year for a round.
So he made that putt, and
Yeah, that was huge.
And I tell my golf partner Joe a lot of times that bogey you make is a lot bigger than the birdie you make.
Yeah,
because
no,
it
that
just
was huge.
calmed it down.
I agree. The first hole was everything.
And the weather was atrocious.
Yeah.
And when I look at these European golf courses, some of them, not many of them, I'll say, I wouldn't mind playing there.
Yeah.
This golf course,
Tough.
dude, you could buy me my greens fees and the plane ticket.
And good
Dude,
luck. You get in one of those
a lot of these
bunker
fairways
socks.
are about that wide and stuff.
And bunker. If I got in one of those bunkers, I'd be there for months maybe.
And some of these holes, you have to hit about 200 yards over,
Yeah.
And
good luck just losing it in the heath or whatever that stuff is.
Yeah.
In fact, my man Graham McDowell, was going off to a good start on his first round of the 3 Ulstermen, the Northern Ireland guys. Of course, Rory. Well, I'm glad he had a good second round, but poor Rory. Talk about the first hole being the key. Hits his first shot. I mean, he's the local guy. Hits it out of bounds, gets a snowman in 8 on his first hole, kills him, comes in with a 79. But I was glad. It just he had another horrible second round. But in fact, he played out of his mind the second day, and of course missed the cut by one
stroke.
He needed a birdie on 18, I guess, and didn't play 18 well. But still, the fans loved that he was getting back into it, and I'm glad for him that salvaged what could have been a horrible weekend.
And you would be remiss not to mention David Duval's 14.
Oh, geez, David.
Now, do you know what happened to him?
Did you see him on the? I didn't see him afterward.
Well, and I won't remember exactly. Off the tee,
out of bounds,
hitting 3, other side, out of bounds.
And then maybe in a trap and
then
taking
he hits into rough or whatever.
Yeah.
Starts playing it. Dude.
Yeah.
He finds out that wasn't his ball he was playing.
Oh, so he played the wrong ball.
So he.
God.
I don't know if those
somebody
strokes
found
count.
the ball Titleist, David. Yeah, Titleist or something.
And he got penalized. Strokes might account. He had to go. He was fairly close to green. Had to go all the way back to the tee box and re-hit.
What
so
a
he ended up
nightmare.
with a 14.
I guess give the guy credit. I mean, he came out the second day and stuff. I'm sure
He shot 91 on the first day out.
And the second, did he have a decent? I mean, 70 something. I don't think he had a terrible round.
He did end up last place.
But I suspect there were some folks. Of course, he's on the Golf Channel. Some folks might have, after that first round, said, "Hey, see ya."
Yeah,
I didn't see it, but I caught that news.
And also, just to let you know, Shane Lowry was scheduled to tee off tomorrow in the St. Jude's Classic, but he's probably.
Which I think he might have won. I think that might have been one of his wins before.
He pulled out because I think he's still drunk. I mean, I see pictures of him on the internet in pubs holding the claret jug, and he's an Irishman. Now, I'm going to ask you this, and I've asked you before, and if you don't give me the answer I expect, I'll argue with you.
Yeah.
Nick Lowry, an Irishman from Europe, obviously. What's a bigger tournament for him to win?
I'm sorry, Nick, were you talking Jason?
Or not Nick, Shane Lowry. Okay. What was a bigger win for him, winning the Open or him winning the Masters?
No,
I contend winning the Open means more to
nothing to even
any
talk
European.
About.
It's the,
on his home terrain, again, the line over there is, as we've talked about, I think before, the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland, the Troubles. Boy, talk about an understated, horrible few decades and stuff, but which they're mostly past. But everything I read said, hey, these guys with golf is so huge over there. It's basically one country. There's no demarcation between Ireland and Northern Ireland when it comes to golf as a local. Oh, I don't think there's anything. He'd take the Open in a heartbeat, I think.
But I know you and David Handy both said that you believe that the Masters was a bigger win than the Open. I have being the birthplace.
I mean, just talking in general, the four
yes,
majors.
Sir. Whether you're from Canada, United States, Argentina.
Of course, you're getting my U.S. perspective here, and you're getting a place I've been to, lucky for me, a couple times, and that I just love to kind of kick off the spring of the year. But I'm not saying that may be my kind of U.S. bias. So you would make the case that it might.
The Open, to me, that's where golf was invented.
I don't think that's a crazy point of view at all.
That. No, and again,
but for Shane Lowry, are you kidding me? Oh, that's his life. If he never does another thing in his life, he's had a good life.
Yeah.
I loved it. Just seeing him go up 18, and then they let all the fans come in behind him.
Yeah,
and Graham, again, it was nice to see Graham McDowell there. Gave him a big hug.
You know, it wasn't like with Rory, named golfers, Koepka.
No, it didn't matter. Hey,
this guy was
local kid
just an average Joe on the PGA circuit.
No, I loved it. I thought that was an incredible story.
Importantly, he had a belly on him. Somebody I could relate to.
Yeah, no, I thought that was an incredible story.
And with the stomach, he didn't have the smoothest swings, and because we've talked about all these pros now. They have like 32-inch waist.
They look like, I don't know what they look,
these skinny little guys.
I agree, it was kind of refreshing.
It was, that's the word I was looking for, refreshing.
So between Shane winning it, Rory kind of salvaging what could have been a disastrous weekend with a great second round, and the fans went crazy when and I heard him afterwards. And Graham McDowell did make the cut, the only of the three Ulstermen who made it. And boy, I think he had a lost ball. He was 2 under early on the first round, and he just missed. He could have been like 3 or 4 under. I think he lost the ball at some point. But I love
this guy.
I told you I love Graham.
He is 100% pure class. Extremely well spoken.
You're talking Graham?
Yeah.
Oh, believe me, he's gonna have a great TV career after golf. Good guy.
He is such a
good guy.
Respectful. He waited around for Lowry, where a lot of guys take off in their private jets.
No, Graham's top. You've asked me why do you like it? I just love this guy.
And just seeing him Sunday kind of gave me the answer is why does Duke like this guy so much?
Great guy. And again, he had a tough round Sunday. I think it's 77, but still coming up 18. Fans went crazy, but he's a good guy. He's won at Hilton Head before. So
when you see a Lowry, and again, my angst against Koepka, I mean, Koepka to me is a spoiled American.
Well, again, I have a different take, as I've told you before, having the same conversation. I think a lot of it is the media is just kind of, look at what this guy's done. How much media attention does he get? About zero, but maybe you say he deserves zero media attention.
No. He's the best golfer. Best golfer in the world.
He's got a chip on his shoulder and just is down. He's been so ignored by the media. I think, hey, guys, you can diss me.
They don't like him.
I'll just go out and win majors and stuff.
Listen,
so I have much better feelings.
Starting a golf team right now, Koepka would be my number one pick. But, and I say it to you all the time, every major, ESPN starts with a number of minutes with Tiger Woods. Tiger was horrible, okay?
And he looked in tough shape.
And after the second round, and I'm sure he jumped on his private jet and went home.
He did. Yeah.
And he's the king of excuses, Tiger Woods. Well, what do you expect? Father time is caught up, and this, that. I just remember during his prime years. And he used to tick off a lot of players. I didn't have my A game today, and he'd win the tournament and stuff. And it was almost like belittling.
As you know, not one of my favorite guys, although he seems to be a little kinder, gentler in his older age.
Yeah.
But I think, of course, for the record, again, I was the one who said there's no way this guy's winning another major, and he won the Masters this year.
But he hasn't done much.
That said, I would say, though, in the Masters, he just knows Augusta so intimately.
Yeah.
And my credibility is shaky because he did win another Masters, but there's no way. I would give him conceivably, maybe if he's healthy, maybe one more Masters, but I'd be stunned. I just don't see him being a big factor with any other major. But again, I didn't think he'd win. I didn't think he'd win another Masters.
And I was about ready to say, but I know what Tiger's response would be. I was going to say, aside from the Masters, he hasn't done anything this year. But if you talk to him January 1st,
he hasn't played much, and again, you're always on him for not playing much.
If I talked to him January 1st, I said, Tiger, you're going to have a year, but you win the majors. He said, I'll take it.
But
that is his problem. He doesn't play enough.
Well, I think
he
part of
probably
it's his-
plays a quarter of the tournaments.
well,
And I thought there was a ruling that you have to play X number of tournaments.
Huh. Now that you mention it, it seems like there was a rule, and they were trying to get the pros like every 5 years to play a tournament that they hadn't played for a while or something.
Like, yeah.
But I'm forgetting about that. But yeah, something tells me Tiger's, not going to get any grief about that. He didn't look good. I mean, it looked like his body wasn't. His back looked like he. Of course, the weather, probably the worst weather he could possibly get.
Yeah.
Rainy, windy, cool.
Well, I think he
didn't
grimaced
look good.
big time on his very first shot on Thursday.
But no, I think after Friday, yes, I think he jetted very quickly back to the U.S.
But
something tells me not on a commercial flight.
Weather in
Northern
Europe.
I love weather like that.
I mean, they really don't have summer.
I've mentioned this before. I'm hearing that sometimes you can't even grow tomatoes. There's just not enough warmth and sun to grow tomatoes.
Yeah.
But I love it when pros are. I love it when they're tested.
Yeah.
But geez, Lowry was still finished with 15 under. And he had a good last round. He had a pretty decent last round. Finished with a 72, went over par. You probably caught this, that he was the first Open champion to have an over par last round since I think 1996 or something.
That I did not know.
Yeah, but again, it wasn't a bad one over on that day. I think nobody later in the day was under par. I think a couple guys earlier
68. I noticed
68.
Nobody.
I think they were
came into the top
earlier.
10. A guy I never heard of because he played early morning when the weather was good. But for him to shoot one over, and again the wind, the rain, it was an incredible round of golf. Round.
Tony, an American who got actually out of the Caribbean, but Tony Finau came in third, I guess, with a minus 7, and Brooks kept it tied for 4. I had forgotten about Lee West. When's the last time you were thinking about Lee Westwood?
And the thing about Koepka, he opened Sunday
four
consecutive bogeys. Yeah,
hadn't done that in years.
And I'll give credit.
He was pretty straight. He was pretty straight about it.
Yeah, he was disappointed in himself. And again, best golfer in the world, hands down.
It's very good. He had very good words for Shane Lowry and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I love the Open. No, but no, I think calling it. No, I think you can make the case. I think you can make the case. It's right up there. Obviously, for anybody out of the U.S., it's probably the biggie. But no, I love the Open. I'm just a little there's nothing I'm into more than golf majors these days. So that they moved the PGA up, which I enjoyed.
Yep.
But I'm slightly freaked that I have no more golf majors. FedEx Championship, I get into a bit. August 8th, that starts.
Yeah.
Do we talk President's? Is it a President's Cup year?
I think it is.
I think it is. Ryder Cup next year.
You and I enjoy talking golf.
Yeah.
But it would really be nice if we played together, Duke. I played twice with you this year.
Pathetic.
It's almost August.
Hey, feel free to beat me up. And like I said, this weekend, my kids we got to take them to New Hampshire. Totally wiped out weekend.
Yeah.
And of course, next Tuesday, which I mentioned, you're Cape Cod Bay. Yeah. No, what can I tell you? Pathetic effort.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I do want to talk a little round ball here. Good words for the very quiet, I don't know if demure is the right word, Jason Tatum. It doesn't talk a lot. Yeah. Now, you got to...
Has he, in fact, I'm glad you mentioned, has he said anything in the wake of the season? Has he said anything about Kyrie? If he were being straight, if he were right here being straight with us, you think, hey guys, I'm not trying to beat up on Kyrie, but I'm not unhappy he's gone.
Dude, you get a 12-pack of beer, put a few in them, and say, off the record there, Jason. Tell me.
Clearly. Didn't Kyrie get on a lot of their cases?
What happened with Kyrie was, and it sounds like Kyrie, was this. Kyrie was out
these are
last
two fellow
year.
Dukies, too.
Not this playoff, but last season. Right. Kyrie was out. Right. And all these babies, the diapers of the Celtics.
Right.
Jason Brown,
and Jaylen
Tatum,
Brown in particular.
And Smart played. Right. These kids. And I said to you for the thing, Duke, if we can get by and win one series, we're not going to get any. And they just kept winning. They made it to Eastern Conference Finals. And I said, this is fun. You saw Tatum grow up. Now, I want to remark here, Jason Tatum, if he was still in college, would be entering his senior season next month at Duke University. You got to remember, when he went to Duke a couple years ago, he was named the Gatorade High School Basketball Player of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Best high school player in the country. Now, the guy doesn't
as was Kyrie, of course, some years before him.
My complaint with Tatum was the lack of aggression, kind of be a ghost during the first, Now, a quote from him today in this, he expects, and again, out of his mouth, to average 20 points this year and make the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's what he
so
said.
for him to say something like that.
Having averaged, maybe like 16 or something last year?
Yeah, and he's probably saying 20 by not putting a lot of pressure because, if he becomes the man, he probably could average up to 25 points a game. But with him touching the ball this upcoming season, I still think the Celtics. I think Brad Stevens is going to love this upcoming season.
I bet Brad Stevens, in a way, has got to be feeling a lot better.
No locker room tension, and he's going to be able to coach these kids. Because again, Brown and Tatum, they're only 21, 22 years of age.
And I think again, and just Las Vegas is summer camp. Again, don't put too much stock in that. Right. But I'm telling you, this guy Carson Edwards, who again almost single-handedly beat almost single-handedly beat Virginia almost. I mean, I like what I saw in this guy. So we didn't even see their first pick.
Even though the first overall pick has been said.
And I'm not sure.
The best player coming out of the draft since a LeBron James. Now, with that being said, it was the weakest draft I've seen in my lifetime. And it's difficult with all these one-and-done players. And again, I said I learned something that night when Jay Billis says, the Celtics' first pick was
Romeo Langford
from Indiana.
Highly,
highly touted player coming out of high school. Didn't have a great year, but Billis said, don't put too much stock.
And again, had a hand injury, which maybe seemingly.
He said this kid's got talent.
Sounds like he goes to the basket great, but I assume.
And their second first-round pick, Grant Williams.
Out of Tennessee, top of the line, smart guy,
cerebral, tough guy.
And Carson Edwards was second round, and this guy I think can play.
Yeah, he should have been a first round, and
even their last pick out of LSU,
Brent.
What's
his name?
Geez, I'm spacing out.
Yeah.
But what a sad story there. His father, I guess, committed suicide.
Okay.
Did you catch that news?
That I did not.
His father, I think he went up to get his parents on draft day, and just like a week or two later, his father committed. He was out in Las Vegas doing his summer league thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm like I said, I was so happy, as I said a bunch of times, to have Kyrie hit the road. I think it should be we're back to just kind of the fun, optimistic, good vibes, hopefully, of 2 years ago.
More blue-collar basketball.
But I got to think Brad Stevens has got to be happy. And the East, it's not like the East is,
All right. Philadelphia is going to be
Philly looks like probably the
just defensively. They're going to be a great ball club, but there's a lot of head cases on that.
Yeah,
ball
the
club.
East is not a bunch of super teams.
And Milwaukee has the best player in the league on that team, but that's not a great overall team.
Toronto lost their key guys.
Exactly.
So I'd like to think the Celtics will make some noise in the East.
Yeah. So, and we got about a minute and a half to go. We're only like 6 weeks, believe it or not, to the start of the NHL training camp. So the Canadians during the summer, a key acquisition, and a lot of people will say, I don't care. They got a backup goaltender in a 30-year-old by the name of Keith Kincaid that had been playing with the Devils. Now, the difference between, among things, the difference between Montreal and Boston last season was their backup goaltending. Arguably, Boston had the best backup goaltender of all of hockey.
They still have that
He's
guy?
still on the team.
Okay.
He must have had signed a 2-year contract. And Yaroslav Halak, he was great. And he pushed Rask into. There was a point early in the season he could have lost his starting.
And Tuukka had a very good year. Didn't Carey Price play just 1 million games last year?
He did, way too much. And Carey Price told him management, he says, we got young goaltenders. I do not want to be a babysitter. I said, I just want to play my games. It said,
maybe don't play me quite as much too, guys.
I'd want a veteran goaltender. So But
The Bruin issue that I'm freaked out. I love Torrey Krug. He's got 1 year left
1
in
year
his
left.
contract. Maybe they're going to just.
I think they're going to keep him for another run this year.
Yeah.
But I don't
Boy,
think
things
they
just
have the money to pay this guy. And the big loss is Marcus Johansson.
Yeah, I'm
who
sorry
they
to see
picked
him
up in a
go.
trade during the
Key
deadline.
late
but this
addition.
guy played extremely
Yeah.
well, and very simply, it's not
Just
that
didn't
the
have the-
Beast
didn't have the
didn't want
bucks,
him,
right?
didn't have the Bucks, and he ended up signing with Buffalo.
Yeah.
So
Boy, so 6 weeks from high. I feel like Stanley Cup just was, a few weeks ago.
yeah. So,
Down to, need to get down there high.
That's it. That will conclude this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For our engineer, Zach, my good pal, the Duke. Remember, folks, a library card is free, but education is priceless. We'll see you guys next week. Ciao.